What's up, Foos? Main event Jay Uso here from the WWE. When it's just me between matches, it's day one-ish. And that means it's Chumba time. With hundreds of casino-style games and new titles arriving weekly, there's always something fresh to try at Chumba Casino. The daily boosts make it even more fun. And have me about to get them all during my downtime. Ready for a fun way to chill out and enjoy a few minutes for yourself? Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T's and C's. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm a nobody from nowhere that ain't never done nothing. That's what I am. An old head. These young coaches, I tell you what, I can't figure these jokers out. They got a backpack on and tight something. I don't know what they're doing. They're getting on my nerves, I can tell you that. I know what ain't in the backpack. A string and a let me paint that line for you. That ain't in there. That's for sure. I had a kid the other day. He said, "Hey, Coach, didn't Christopher Columbus write the Pledge of Allegiance?" I said, "He sure did. He also played quarterback for the 1985 Chicago Bears." He said, "Bet." That happened. Sun Coaches, Season 6, where coaches come and tell their stories. Some of them are funny. Some of them is going to help you in your coaching journey. Not everybody has a funny story, but everybody has a story. Hope you enjoy Sun Coaches, brought to you by Titan Sensor. Sun Coaches is proud to partner with Titan Sensor for Season 6 and 7. Titan is made in the USA, proudly founded and based in Texas. When you connect with Titan, you are not alone. You can collaborate and share templates with other coaches across the country to build reports and foster competition. Used by programs such as State 6A Georgia State champion Grayson High School, Titan can tailor a package to fit your needs. The eye in the sky never lies. Improve your team's performance with Titan. Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, Season 6, and today I'm extremely excited to be joined by the head coach at East Coweta, Coach John Small. Thanks for being on with me.
Hey, thanks for having me, Coach. Looking forward to it.
Well, I don't have to ask this guy where he grew up because we actually grew up kind of together. We competed against each other from the time we were probably 12 or 13 until we graduated from high school. Coach Small is from Augusta, Georgia, and he graduated from Westside High School. So I can tell y'all that. He doesn't have to tell you that. And Coach, I know you played football and baseball. Did you play anything else in high school?
I didn't. Those were the only two I played. I was always trying to get my grades up enough from football season to be able to be eligible for baseball. So it kept me out of basketball.
Well, and for the young coaches that may be listening and know Coach Small out there, I will say that he was freakishly athletic for a big man. I can tell you that. He hit one our senior year in high school against us that hasn't landed yet. And the stadium now is not the same, doesn't have the same orientation, I don't think, at Westside as it had when we were in high school. But when we were in high school, when he hit it off of Brian Johnson, I think was our pitcher. He played at Georgia Southern, lefty. And I told you what was coming, and you looked at me and you didn't say anything really nice to me. And then it came, and you kind of looked at me funny, and I said, "Well, here it comes again," and you hit that thing to Riverwatch Parkway.
Well, I appreciate you giving me a little tip on that thing. I probably would have missed it if not.
No, I don't think so, because you hit a bunch of them like that. But no, you were a phenomenal athlete and fun to watch, and I used to try to aggravate you as much as I could because that was really the only way I could I could get on the field with you guys.
Yeah, well,
because y'all
those are kind words. I appreciate it. We had some really good players back then. I tell you, we had some dudes that came through there to really play the game. And we had a great coach too in baseball, Coach Gerald Barnes. He was one of the best around.
Freaking legend.
Yeah, just awesome. I enjoy talking. We talk every probably 2 or 3 months and just stay in touch, but just love talking to him.
Well, who was your head football coach in high school?
It was Don Finley. Don Finley. He was there forever at Westside. And I think he still lived down there. And in fact, he called me a couple of years ago and when I was at South Gwinnett, and he said, I'd get arrested nowadays for doing what I did to y'all, wouldn't I? I said, that's because you'd be under the jail. You can't get away with that stuff anymore.
Well, now I don't know if this is true or not, but for some reason I grew up believing this. Didn't your father play professional football?
He did. He was first-round draft pick in 1970 and played for the Falcons and the Detroit Lions for 7 years.
That's right. My dad used to tell me that all the time. He's like, well, Mr. John Small played for he played for the Falcons, son. He was really, really good. And I was like,
a pretty good player.
Well, that explains a lot.
Well, I think awesome. I always tell people I got probably a quarter of his genes and 3/4 of the other side. So I wish I'd have gotten at least half of his genes because he was a special player.
So after high school, you got the opportunity to go play at West Georgia.
Yeah, I got to go to West Georgia in 1992 and play for just some unbelievable coaches back then. Just dudes that really had a huge impact on my life and my career. And they impacted a ton of my teammates because I'd say there's about 26 of us that graduated during that time from West Georgia that are all coaching either high school or college football. And predominantly most of them are in high school. And I think there's like 15 to 16 head coaches in the state of Georgia from that group. So those coaches, Charlie Fisher, Glenn Spencer, Jeff Barrington, those guys just had a profound impact on us as young men of how they went about business and expected us to. And we kind of all said, heck, that's what I want to do for a living, is have an impact like they did on us. So
you knew the whole time you wanted to teach and coach?
Yeah, you always have a pipe dream that you're going to go to the NFL or do something, then reality hits and you're like, no, that ain't happening. So I better have a backup plan. So I knew I wanted to get into coaching and, give back of what had been given to me and the impact people had on me. And I really thought I was going to stay in college ball. I did it for 2 years. And then the good Lord said, no, you're going to high school. And the way it worked out was unbelievable. And it's been a great career. The doors that have been opened and the opportunities that have been given and the people I've had a chance to work for or work with, it's just been awesome.
So did you GA for a couple of years first?
I did. I GA'd at West Georgia. I finished playing in 95 and then had one more year of undergrad and was going to go to, Tennessee and GA, and the guys at West Georgia were like, hey, you're out a year, you're away from it. Come here, you can coach a position, have a room. You can make 25 cents a day. That was real appealing. Maybe shake some Pop-Tarts out the machine in the snack room to eat. And or you can go to a big school and get coffee for people. And so I did that for 2 years and, really had a great experience doing it with those guys. And, they poured into us and made us work and, taught us the game. And it was, you think it when you play it, but when you start coaching, you're like, I ain't got a clue. You gotta learn. And then once I got done with that, I got an opportunity to just kind of out of the blue. It was a total God thing, but I got an opportunity to go work my first high school job with T McFerrin at South Gwinnett, and worked for him for 3 years, and then had an opportunity to go be a defensive coordinator of Coney County with Neil Auer, who was the OC at Parkview at the time. And so T kind of pushed me to go do that, because he knew my ultimate goal was to be a head coach. And so I did that for 3 years, and then T retired. And then South Gwinnett called me, and I went back over there and was head coach there for 12 years, and then moved down here to East Coweta about 8 years ago.
So what was – I saw T last week. We went to Georgia Tech, and he was running around like he did 30 years ago. And I think they hit a home run hiring him as their liaison at Georgia Tech.
Well, that's Tim McFerrin.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had T
sorry.
McFerrin. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
T McFerrin.
That's
Yeah,
Tim
no,
McFarland. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Tim McFarland's a great dude too now.
Yeah.
He's a great. But T McFerrin was
T McFerrin's legend.
Just a coach of coaches. You know, he's not a huge guy in stature, but man, you would do anything for that guy. And you just sat under his wing and just listened to him. And the way he led coaches and led teams was just, it made you realize what you don't know, you know. So just a phenomenal guy, like a father figure to a lot of us. You know, I know I was under a lot of head coaches have come from him, but, you know, Shannon Jarvis, Josh Lovelady, you know, myself, we got to work on that staff together. And it was just, what an experience that was.
So your first job out, you got to work for one of the winningest head coaches in the history of the state of Georgia, a true legend. And I mean, that's got to be an awesome start to the career right there. That's
no doubt,
fantastic.
No doubt.
And then you go work for Coach Auer, who's one of the most well-respected, most highly thought of humans to ever walk the sidelines in the state of Georgia. I've never heard anybody say anything negative about that guy.
Nah, Neil's a great dude, and, you know, gave me my first opportunity to be a coordinator, and it was his first time as a head coach, and, you know, it was cool to, you know, kind of navigate that with him, and he did a heck of a job of kickstarting that program again. And when we took that job, they went from AAA the year before he took it, and then they went to 5A. So we knew when we took that job that we're going to bump into 5A for at least 2 years. That was the highest class at the time. But he did a heck of a job of navigating that and, you know, leading the guys through that. And then our third year there, we were back down in AAA and thought we had a chance to win it all. We got beat the second round by MLK, and everything was working out great in that ball game for the first half at our place until the band showed up at halftime for them. And then once they started playing, I said, this game's over. We're in trouble because they had that place rocking.
It's like the sonic boom of the South back home.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it was crazy. Crazy.
So then your first head coaching job, you got to return back to South Gwinnett, and that just goes to show the importance of good relationships and not leaving a place poorly.
Yeah, and that's something older coaches, and hopefully the younger ones do it one day, is, you know, we tell our players, myself and our staff, is, man, life is all about relationships, you know, and not burning a bridge. It may not go your way, but you don't burn that bridge, because everybody's going to need somebody at some point. And those relationships and connections and network is, you know, what makes life go. And then if you get the opportunity, you better take full advantage of it, you know. And so, yeah, that was neat how that worked out, you know, and to be able to go back, and it was tough going in and following a legend like T, but people asked me, you know, how do you follow T McFerrin? I said, well, I'm 6'3", he's 5'5", I'm 230 pounds. He's, you know, 140. He's got 400 wins. I got 0. So I'm not really following him right now. I'm not even close to him. You know, I just want to try to emulate what he does every day, the consistency, the process, and then see what happens in our career, you know.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that. We were talking about that today in the coach's office, because I'm the oldest guy on the staff. Other than one other, the basketball coaches, running backs, we're the same age, and he hadn't gotten in there yet. So we were just talking about, you know, how guys get head coaching jobs and all this other stuff. And I was like, yeah, a lot of the guys complain about, it's the good old boy system or the frat boy system. What I said, no, it's about who you know, and it's about relationships, and it's about, you know, building positive relationships with administrators. And, you know, it used to be, you know, people like T and Milt Millers and the Dave Hunters of the world, and not saying that they still can't help you, but, you know, that group's kind of
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
You know, they've kind of gone to pasture. You better know. You better have good relationships with administration and administrators, because those are the ones doing the hiring these days. And most of them, in their mind, they're like, all right, let's hire a football coach. Let's get that, check that box, get it over with. And then they hand you the keys and they're like, all right, I got that done. Let them handle it and move on.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's still about who you know and, you know, whether you're a fit. And, you know, coaches just have to understand that. You know, a lot of these jobs that come open, you know, I have people every year when the job season comes open, they're like, Lamb, who's getting, you know, I'm thinking about applying at Grayson. Really?
Good luck.
Did they call you? You know, Are you from Gwinnett? Do you know anybody there? Well, no, but all right, then you might want to sit down and color there, buddy. You know,
That's true.
Stay in your lane. I don't know. It's just funny to me that they don't understand how things work.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to.
I tell most of my young guys that want to do it, I'm like, you know, be great where your feet are planted right now, and be the best tight end coach, be the best offensive core, whatever you're doing, be the best at that. Everything else will work out. You know, I said, but if I'm your age, I'm just trying to give them some wisdom. If I'm your age right now and I was going to take a head job, I wouldn't take it, because the game has changed in terms of everything that goes on. I said, I'm fortunate. I've done it long enough where I kind of know what's coming around the corner. I know what we have to cut off before it becomes a problem, you know, but 28 years ago, some of those things you didn't have to think about. There's so many other things that will come after you now. And I said, so be great where you're at. And if it's supposed to work out, it's going to work out, you know?
Absolutely. Our offensive coordinator, he's 10 years in, very sharp, very good. He's going to be an awesome head coach. His name's Montez Shipman. And he made the comment today, he's like, you know, I approach every day and every opportunity and everything we do is a job interview. And I was like, that's a good attitude, because, and his thing is that coaches talk, you know, and we talk about, you know, hey, this guy right here is good, or this guy's not so much, you know. It's like,
right.
And people like us that are at the tail end of our career, I mean, I don't know how much longer you're going to go, but I'm not much longer to this world. So, you know, you know, we're on the way out. And, you know, whether it's 2 years or 5 years, you know, we're on the back end of it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have to pass the baton and the torch on to somebody else. And, you know, some of these guys that are chomping at the bit, I mean, something else to your point is, if I'm their age and somebody offered me a job, well, that probably ain't a real good job. I mean, why are they offering it to you?
Right.
You know? I
right.
mean, I'm not trying to be ugly, but when we were that age, we didn't have no business being a head coach.
Right. That's right.
I mean, I got the Richmond Academy job at 32. Zero business being the head coach there. None. Zero. Absolutely none. And then went through family tragedy and all this other stuff in the midst of all that, which did not help at all. And, I mean, it's just bad. And it wasn't the Richmond Academy that we grew up with. Right. So, you know, it was just, I don't know that everybody research, you know, they just want so bad. And I mean, I was guilty of the same thing, but my thing is we're trying to point out to them, hey, look, we made these mistakes. Be better.
That's right. Yeah.
That's my thing, is be better. So your first head coaching job, what was that like? I mean, we've said it a million times on this podcast, talking to people, that the football is not the issue. It's the stuff that you just have to learn by doing.
Yeah, and the football part of the head coach is about 10%. The other 90%, you better hire really good people and be organized. You know, so it's like drinking water out of a fire hose, the first couple of years. And what I learned from T McFerrin was you better be organized, you better have a plan. And he what he did is he broke his stuff up into quarters and during the year. And so now, like in my mind, I've done it so long from learning from him is I know by the end of February what I got to have done for next fall to work. I got to have done by April for next fall to work. So it kind of goes in just periods of the year. So learning that organization and understanding it ain't just football. There's a lot that goes on between Sunday and Friday night that has to work out really well for Friday to have a chance to be successful. And that was learning that from him, and then be able to try to apply it myself and surrounding myself with really good people. That helped me out.
So when you went in to South Gwinnett, what was your culture? How did you sell your program? What was your philosophy? Like when you sat down and they said, other than the fact that you worked here and Coach McFerrin says so, why should we hire you as our head coach?
Well, you hope we continue to do what T did, in the culture that he had, but everybody's going to be different, even if you work for somebody. Like I believe in everything that T did, but you have your own ideas. And I'm a big believer, not that T wasn't by any means, because he was an impactful coach, but I'm big on relationships with my players, getting to know the kid, not just as a football player, and, coming out every day with the goal in mind of, asking ourselves a question as a staff is, what impact did I have on my players today? It was either positive or negative, and we get to make that choice as adults and coaches, because all these kids come from a different background. Some of them hadn't eaten in 2 days. Some have plenty of food. Some are going home to a tough situation. But when they're with us, man, it needs to be that we're pouring every ounce we have into them, and that they can trust us and that they can believe in us as people, so that when we tell them something or give them advice, they're going to listen to it, and you try to build that relationship where it lasts a lifetime. So I'm a big relational type coach, and that was kind of our philosophy, is trust and impact, with our guys. And it still is today. Everybody wants to win the day. That's a great culture and a cliche, but it comes down to winning every day by building those relationships with your kids and getting them to function like they need to function. So when they get away from you and they graduate, they can function in the real world.
Well, did you have any
way I look at it?
Would you have any weight room or offensive and defensive philosophies that you were like, this is what we're going to do, or did you adapt to your personnel?
Well, in terms of offense or defense, I think every year is different. So we're going to adjust to our personnel. We're going to have a system in place. 1 year we may be a 3-3 stack on defense. The next year maybe a 4-2-5. The next year maybe a 3-4. But don't change the terminology on them. Keep that consistent. And the words we're preaching to them, and about fits and sharking and the different techniques. That's all the same. But you may have to move some pieces around to get the best bang for your buck. And the same thing on offense. We're going to run a system. We may be spread. We may be 2-back, 20 personnel. We may be 2 tight end. But whatever our kids can do. And I think a lot of times, some of these young coaches, they want to prove to everybody how many points they can score. Well, who cares? If let's win the game. We scored 50 and got beat 51-50, and you didn't slow the game down. What are we doing? So whatever our kids can do is what we're going to do. And we sit down and evaluate that every year. Who's coming back? What are the pieces? That's kind of how we do it. Weight room wise, I think I have the greatest strength coach in the state of Georgia. Name's Andy Washington. I hate to even say his name because somebody come hire him, but he's unbelievable. And he studies it. He's a great football coach too now. But what I've seen him do with kids in the last 5 or 6 years in development of speed and strength and power, it's not your big BFS bigger. It's just the central nervous system and how your body functions. Like, it's Greek to me. He's like, "Hey, coach, what do you think about this?" I'm like, "Yep, you came up with it. Let's do it. That's a great idea. Great idea." So, but he's really good at what he does.
As long as you see results, you're like, "Yeah, that's fantastic, dude. That looks great."
That's the thing. He's like, "What do you think?" I said, "If I see results, I'm good." And so my philosophy is whatever his philosophy is in the weight room.
Yeah, well, it's like, we're the same age, so I mean, obviously you're more successful than a head coach, but you're probably more up on this stuff than I am. But one of our title sponsors is Titan Sensor, and they do the GPS,
Yeah.
stuff. And when we got together with them, I'm like, this is the most awesome stuff I've ever in my life. And then, learning what other schools do with it, and the load, and we know on Mondays our receivers ran this much, so tomorrow will be more of a screen day, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, this is awesome, because
this is great.
Because I've just always been a Middle Georgia, South Georgia coach, and we're like, we don't know, we got run, we're like,
run fast.
Yeah, we don't have technology. We're like, no, we just run. That's pretty much what. But it's all of the technology and the stuff that's out there now, and these coaches that learn it and take that onus off of you to where you can focus on other parts of the program. That's just huge for a head coach to have somebody that's that good that you can trust with the weight room, because that's the nuts and bolts of your program a lot of times.
Oh, no doubt.
Your discipline and everything else. So
yeah, I worry every year I'm gonna lose him. He's that good. So he's a dang good one.
You were 12 years at South Gwinnett and had a freaking awesome run at South Gwinnett, and had to be hard to leave.
Yeah, it did. You're there for a long time, a lot of relationships and what have you. I got a 24-year-old daughter and a 21-year-old, and my wife Julie, and my wife's from LaGrange. Her family's down here, and so when the opportunity came up to go look at that, I did, and it was it's a great place. It's like South Georgia in the middle part of the state. It's just the community cares. They show up to games. They support. The parental support is unbelievable. The participation is unbelievable. And so it was an opportunity to get my kids into a different setting, into a different school system, and get them closer to their grandparents. And obviously it was a place that you knew about your whole life. You heard about East Coweta with the Danny Chronic days and all that. And so it was kind of neat to get down back this way. And it's a great place to live, Noonan, Georgia. Let me get this straight. Noonan City, I'm not talking about, because that's our big rival. But Noonan, the area I live in is not the city. So Noonan's a great place to live. Great place to live.
Yeah, that's I had Chip on, and I hate it that y'all are big rivals because he's such a good dude. And I imagine maybe off the field, y'all, I don't know if y'all can coexist since y'all are fighting over the same humans, but I tried to explain to some of our coaches today that they don't know all the geography. And I'm like, well, you got Noonan, you got East Coweta, and you got Northgate. And one of the coaches was like, oh, Northgate. We stopped there one time to, do a walkthrough. That's a nice area over there. And I'm like, oh, yeah, man, Noonan's all of that situation over there is nice. And I remember when I was at Lithia, I was coaching baseball back in the early 2000s, and we were in the same region, and we went and played East Coweta for.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. CT&Cs. 21+. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
On region game, and man, they get behind all of their athletics.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like you said. It's like South Georgia mentality. I mean, they had. I mean, you know how it is in the spring. They had baseball going on and tennis and other things, and I mean, they were just mamas and daddies and children active and participating and track and I mean just everything. And like you told me off air, you said you had 200 kids playing football. Man, that's insane.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I mean, it's great. I mean, it's insane in a good way.
It's awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just we got 80 and I'm tickled to death, and you got 200. I couldn't even imagine having to deal with the logistics that go behind dealing with 200 children.
Yeah, somebody's asked me before, said, would you like to go coach somewhere, a smaller school, which I think football's football. I don't care what level we're playing. There's great football players in every classification. And they said have about 40 players. I said, to be honest with you, I would not know what to do. I wouldn't know how to practice, because you're used to the numbers, and I wouldn't know what to do. But what do we do, fella? I'd have to hire somebody that's done that, and it's going to be the same thing for somebody going from 40 players to 200. What do I do?
Oh yeah.
It's just so, but yeah, that's the thing. Our coaches our assistants do a really good job of building those relationships and walking the hallways, getting kids out. And, we tell the parents, everybody ain't playing, just because you're on the team doesn't mean you're going to play. If you want to see your kid play, come to the spring game, because everybody's going to play in that game. But after that, it's what they earn, but they're a part of something, and getting them to understand their role, So we're proud of that fact that we have those kids and they're involved and they stick with it. They don't quit, So
provide a good experience.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. That's it.
Well, I remember when I went to Northside Warner Robins about 6 years ago, and it was the first time I'd gone to a program that had 200 kids on the team, and they asked me to. I wasn't going to coach. I was just going to go and teach special ed and hang out and do that. And Chad Alligood asked me to coach the 9th grade offensive line, and I was like, okay. Man, I had a blast. It was fantastic. So I learned by watching. We had our own field. We had our own locker room. We had an 8-man staff. We took care. Our head coach took care of physicals. He took care of the roster, checking grades. We had. It was like our own team within a team. And
yeah.
So I made the comment on Twitter. I was like, look, all of you younger guys that are out there that are turning your nose up at being a 9th grade coach at bigger programs, it's almost like you're the head coach at a single A program.
Correct. That's exactly right.
From a logistics standpoint.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, from a talent standpoint, it's not the same, but I'm not always. But from a logistics standpoint, you're dealing with 60 or 70 kids. I don't know why a young coach wouldn't jump all over the opportunity to get his experience at that level, because you're basically running your own program.
Yeah.
And learning
that's right
how to deal with parents, physicals, everything that it's a microcosm of what the head varsity coach has to deal with.
Right. It's a great experience. It's a great experience.
And, when you're dealing with a program that big and you're rolling out to an away game and it's 6 buses and, you've got a system, and, it's like you said, you might not get to play until your senior year. It may take you that long to earn that spot.
Yeah, that's right.
You have a legitimate varsity, junior varsity, and 9th grade program, and you might not develop until your senior year or your junior year. And it's okay that it takes that long to develop.
Exactly right. The funny thing we do, our varsity trips, we'll take 3 to 4 buses, because we'll take about 65, 70 kids on the road. And 9th grade, we'll take about 6 or 7 buses to JV games, because there's so many young guys. And so we roll up there in 6 buses to a JV game. People are like, what? Yeah. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, we got a pile of these little jokers. We're getting them all in too.
Yeah, we're taking 2 buses tomorrow night to go to Atlanta to play.
That's awesome. So what were some things at East Coweta after being a head coach for so long? Was there anything that you did? Each situation is different, but did you go in going, okay, here's some things that I might need to change a little bit or do a little bit differently? Or did you just say, all right, I kind of have a handle on how I'm going to do things, and we're just going to business as usual and just change our uniforms?
No, I think we came in and looked at it, and our first year we went 5-5, and I think we broke a streak of going to the playoffs 20 straight years. So that wasn't the best thing for us to do. But they had not been to the second round in a long time. And, when we looked at it, I said, well, I'm a firm believer that, coming from Gwinnett, in the highest classification, you have to play people in the non-region. And it's got to be tough. And that's the only way you get battle tested for those playoff runs. And so the next year we got to make the new schedule for 2 years. And we played the toughest schedule in the state 2 years in a row. Like our first 6 games that second year were against 6 top 10 teams in 6A at the time. And we just sold it to our kids and our parents that, hey, it's going to be tough, but we got to learn to do this. And then I wanted the parents in the community to see these other places when we go play the Lowndes and the Mill Creeks, play people like that, to see this is what it's supposed to look like at our place. We got to revamp this. We got to fix this, whatever. And so we started 0-6 that next year. And of course, they're ready to run us out of town. And we ended up making the playoffs as a 4 seed and beat Marietta, number 1 seed, because our kids were battled. So that there was some buy-in at that point. You know what I'm saying? And so we continue to do that. We play in a really tough region here with the Carrolltons and the Douglas counties and, West Lakes and what have you. So we try to play a really tough non-region schedule here and kind of pride ourselves on that, win or lose, because we're trying to get better. And I like the challenge of it. I like our kids to be challenged, But that was kind of the only thing we changed, was we're going to change the way they schedule down here, and kind of bring that blue collar tough mentality that these kids have. They're blue collar now, and they're great kids and tough kids, So that's probably a long answer to your question, but that's kind of what we did different.
Was there anything over the years, is there anything that you've done to change the way that you approach spring practice?
Yes. The way we look at it is this. In the summertime, you can throw 7-on-7 5 million times, but you can't strike a lick but maybe 1 or 2 OTAs before camp starts. So we go into spring practice and we're going to go 9 practices, full pads, and we may throw it 2 times a practice, and that's on air. We're going to run the football and stop the run and be as physical as we can be, because we can't do that all summer. We can throw and we can do all the other stuff we want to do all summer long. So, and our kids kind of embrace that. Our coaches embrace that. So it's a violent spring practice. But I think it has to be to give ourselves a chance to compete against some people we play.
I like
it. That's about the only difference.
I like it. So it's not I like it. That's you got a community that has a South Georgia mentality. That's a South Georgia mentality.
Yeah.
It's almost like scratch and scrimmage.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to line up and strike somebody.
Yeah. Now my street coach is going to have him loose before we strike somebody, because he's really good. But we're going to strike after that.
Right.
So what he does with the kids, which is awesome, they don't even know it, they get it, is the whole off season. He's like, I'm building your body armor for what's about to take place in the spring. Like, we're going to be breaking crap up now. I mean, so the kids kind of embrace that in the weight room, like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what we're doing. So it's the receivers are not like, why aren't we throwing the ball? The receivers are trying to freaking knock people out and block. And, so it's kind of crazy.
Well, it's a good sales job on your part, because it's not like you're lying to them. You're being honest with them. I mean, guys, You're going to catch 1,000 balls in June.
Yeah.
Give me 9 days of blocking so you get to rock.
Exactly. So that's it's kind of when people come watch practice, like, y'all gonna throw it? I'm like, yeah, come June. Not today. Not today.
That's what I told the kids. I got to be the, this will air after the fact, but because this is right before the dead week, but ROC's going to that Manning camp, and I got to call them tomorrow, and the kids just looked at me. I'm coaching O-line. I said, looked at the receivers. I said, well, y'all going to be wide blockers tomorrow, guys, because we're going to throw the ball twice tomorrow, in the bag and on the bus.
Yeah.
That's about the only 2 times we're going to throw it. So
yeah, my favorite pass play is that flat route. We throw more than 10 yards, we're in trouble.
Yeah, pitch is a pass.
Exactly. You gonna get fancy? Run the option. Here we go.
So, how about summers? I know some people have gotten away from 4-day Monday through Thursday, and they've gone to a 3-day schedule over the last few years. Have you changed anything up, or have you found a formula that works best for you guys, or how do you approach summers?
We used to go 3 days a week in July, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, with our kids, and this year, with us having the dead week, the Memorial Day week, we decided, hey, we're going to give them off the Memorial Day week and the next week. Everybody can start on June 2nd. But I said, we're going to give them that week off, 2 weeks off. And then we're going to do 3 weeks in a row, 4 days a week. And then we're going to have the dead week. We're going to come back 4 days a week. And because that first week, June 2nd, man, all your kids are at camps. They're on OVs, whatever. And you're missing kids. And I'm a firm, the older I get, Coach, kids got to be kids at some point. And some of the stuff that we do is overkill. And they got to have a break. We do not put a helmet on Thursdays in the summer. Like during June, we'll put helmets on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and do pass scale. But Thursdays, no helmets. It is lift weights, do our running, and then we do a thing we call Thug Out Thursday. And we drive sleds up and down the field for about 30 minutes with about 30 kids on the 10 through 12. The ninth graders got 70 on the other field. And we kind of pride ourselves in that. It's tough on them. But I want them to be excited about putting a helmet on come July, the end of July, instead of being like, oh, my God, we're about to start the season. I'm tired of wearing this helmet,
Well, I'm glad.
Give them a break.
I'm glad you said that. I'm so glad to hear somebody the same age as I am, because sometimes I feel like I'm getting soft, because I'm like, we're doing too much, because I remember when we first got started in this business, June was like, well, if they come in, we'll lift a little, we might throw some. But now with the calendar the way it is, everybody feels like, oh my God, Jimmy's not here, we're screwed. Well, Jimmy's off at a camp, or Jimmy's playing baseball. Or
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Jimmy's at basketball this week, or Jimmy's at an actual visit, or heaven forbid, Jimmy's grandmother passed away and they're gone for the week. We're going to have to get Johnny ready, because Jimmy's, get somebody else ready.
That's right. The only problem is when Jimmy's 8th grandma died and you've already given him some leeway, and you're like, we ain't got that many grandmas, man.
Yeah.
You can't use that excuse all the time.
Yeah, that is a problem. But you know what I'm saying? It's just gotten to where June, it's gotten to where it's like, oh my God, now I get it. After July the 4th, it's football season.
Football ready to roll. Yep.
But June, I'm with you. We can not be as, spastic about, I think we can. I'm like you. Let kids be kids. Let them do. And now with the technology the way it is, it doesn't take 8 hours to prep anymore. It shouldn't. If everybody does what they're supposed to on Saturdays, Sundays ought to go smoothly. And I mean, Huddle does stuff that you and I used to have to do in a 3-ring binder by hand.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And the way I look at it as I get older is you you know what? We've done this for the last 3 years in a row this way, and we've been 10-2. We've been 3-7. So does it really have anything to do with the way we're doing anything, or is it the Johnnies and Joes that we have doing it? You know, so let's don't do more just to think we have to do more.
Just to poke your chest out and walk around and say, we're out working that bunch, or we're grinding. You know,
Yeah, like the word grinding to me, I think that means you're wearing something out to where it's not any good anymore. What are we doing? I mean, we're supposed to be sharpening. Jeez. That's the way I look at it.
I got a feeling that I'm going to start aggravating you with texts when I see something insane. I'm just going to send you a picture and a text, and at the bottom it's going to say, "What are we doing?" Or I'm going to say, "This happened today. What are we doing?"
What are we doing? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Allie Good used to say that all the time. He'd go, "What are we doing, Lamb?" And I'm like, "I don't know, boss. I really don't. I look at some of this stuff that goes on, and I just, or I'll get on rampages on Twitter, and I'll like be making fun of like, we're grinding, carrying water today, stacking wood, just trying to put, every class day." And I'm like, look, man, the bottom line is this: you either got them or you don't.
Oh, no doubt.
And if you're willing to go get them and bring them in, good on you. But, I talked to a guy the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, we had this kid come in from wherever and blah, blah, blah." And I'm sitting there thinking, I didn't say it, but I'm thinking to myself, well, we got this little fella that's going to be a freshman this year. We're kind of hoping he pans out. I mean, it's, we don't have the luxury of, that's just not happening in our neck of the woods. That's just not that's not a thing. We don't have to deal with that. And I'll segue into this. What are some things, since you've been a head coach for 20 years, you've seen a lot of things change in those 20 years with GHSA and trends in the game. What are some things that you've noticed that have changed? And now that you're an old head, you can say it and not worry about getting in a lot of trouble for it. What are some things that you've seen change that you just don't like?
Well, my give a crap button, what I say, went away a long time ago. But I think that, the transfer rule, somebody asked me about the new transfer rule the other day. They called and I said, well, number one, it ain't going to affect us. Okay. People don't move in here, which is fine. But we're going to find out who can coach or who can recruit, because some of those places you just roll a ball out and you got 18 5-stars. That ain't real difficult. It's managing egos. So if they stick to the rules and hold everybody accountable, it may make things different. But I'm at the point where we're going to show up with our 2-3 buses on Friday night, and we're going to roll 11 guys out on offense, 11 guys on defense, and 11 guys on special teams, and we're going to freaking hit you in the mouth, and whatever happens, happens. We're going to play hard, and hopefully our effort will outweigh some of the talent sometime.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, I know I'm not going to mention no names, and I don't know if it aggravated y'all growing up as much as it did us. But there was a certain private school in between your school and our school growing up that the Lord used to lead people over to that school. And they would just all of a sudden be like thinking they were the greatest baseball team in America.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd be like, well, they ain't hard to coach when you have, the people that couldn't play with y'all and the people that couldn't play with us and the people that couldn't play at Evans or Harlem went rolling over here to this other little school, or they got recruited over to that little school. And that coach was, he invented the game. And we're sitting there. You played for Gerald Barnes, who was a legend. You got Jimmy Lewis at Harlem, who was a legend. You had Coach Holder, who was a legend. And I played for Jimmy Smith, who was pretty doggone good, too. And it's just amazing that you had 4 of Georgia's best high school baseball coaches all in the same region, except for Coach Lewis, but just right there.
It was nuts.
And then you've got, these coaches, to your point, you're like, you're coaching a travel ball team, dude. I mean,
Right. Oh yeah.
are
Just
they?
get them on the toughest. Just get them on the bus Friday. Just get them on the bus. You got a chance.
Yeah, make sure the gas is that. Make sure it's got gas in it. None of them hit their head when they get off.
Oh yeah.
And stay out the way. I told somebody jokingly one time, John, I was like, I would love one time before I retire to have a team good enough that when we're down there playing, that everybody else is sitting up there at the mezzanine at the dome and says, even Lamb can't screw this up. They're so loaded that he can't even screw. All he's got to do is just stand. No, he just stand over there and drink his Dr. Pepper and eat his flaming hot Cheetos, and every now and then walk by his coordinators and act like he knows what's going on. Because that's
Pat
what
him on the back, nod your head.
Yeah, because that's what some of it looks like.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they have to deal with a bunch of other crap,
Oh yeah.
keeping everybody happy.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I don't want to deal with. I don't want your headaches. I don't want their headaches. I don't want any of that smoke. Just send me with my little group. I'll take 9th grade OL. Just send me down there with my little group. Give me my little chores, and I'm happy. But
oh yeah,
that has changed a lot. I mean that, and I imagine you watching it, especially from your perspective over the past 20 years. You've probably seen a lot more than the average guy. Being a head coach
Gwinnett had a lot of. Now we benefited from that in Gwinnett. We had guys move in. Now we ain't out actively recruiting the way it went down, but they happened to come to us. Okay, great, But East Coweta is just it's not a transient area, nor Noonan, and Noonan's got their people. We got our people, and heck, you got to turn in 2 affidavits a year in the county to even go to school at one of the schools. So it's all checked. You don't have a lot of crossover with that unless a kid legitimately moves. But so Chip and I, we ain't got to deal with that with each other, which is good.
Well, that's what I told Craig at the GACA All-Star, Bennett at the GACA All-Star game. I sold him on my Form B plan. And I was like,
what's that?
I was like, you want to fix it? Just have the Form B plan. And take each classification and figure out what the average number of Form Bs was for that classification, and then set the number at that. And let's say it's 6A, the average number of Form Bs for a school was, for math purposes, 10. All right. Well, if you have more than 10 Form Bs, male or female athletes, don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
More than 10, we're going to put all of you in one super class. Well, Coach, what if they're a single A school? I don't care, because that is competitive balance, because y'all are doing the same thing. So y'all are now, if y'all want to do all that, congratulations. Y'all are the Super 32 or the Super 12 or whatever. Now y'all go crazy. Yeah. Do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then go down from there. So, because they're like, well, after I did my thing, they were like, well, you can't go any higher. I said, well, then you go to the super class. But if you're in single A, let's say your number is 5. Well, if you have between, 0 and 4, you move up one classification. So you have to play up to 2A. If you have between 5 and 7 or 5 and 8, you move up 2 classifications. So you would go to AAA. And you just use Form Bs. And then, like the old days when you call Dr. Swearingen, there's just one appeal. They can play JV. Well, he's a senior. Well, so he can play JV. Well, then we ain't moving. Okay, well, don't move.
Yeah, don't move.
There. So to me, that's the only way it can be policed.
Oh, yeah.
Because this other stuff, it's a nice gesture, but it's that people are going to do what people do.
Oh, yeah. They're going to find the loophole and they're going to beat the system. And then that's when they say no appeals on this or that. Well, everybody ends up appealing. They pass it through. If we say we can't appeal, when they do classifications, when you say we can't appeal, why are we letting people come down there to Thomaston to appeal? Makes no sense.
Yeah, what's the point? And then like today, I'm listening to Ben Hartsock on a nationally syndicated talk radio show on Sirius XM bring up Buford, calls them the University of Buford, and talks about the fact that he's got people in his Bible study group talking about this new guy we had move in, made a business decision. I bet Buford appreciates that.
No doubt.
You know, I mean,
yeah.
And I'm not throwing shade at them. I'm just,
you
know, they've been doing it they've been Buford for so long. I don't know that they have to do anything.
No.
You know what I mean?
You got the untouchables.
Yeah.
You have the untouchables. And we ain't one of those.
No, I mean, the majority of us aren't. And, you know, and it's just one of those things where it's the rich get richer and everybody else is just hoping you catch a generational group and, you know, you make it to the third or fourth round, and that's going to be a pretty good run.
Oh, yeah.
And
exactly.
And you have to, you know, again, provide a great experience and work hard and play hard. And that blue collar mentality is definitely something you've brought to East Coweta. And I know, you know, I remember watching you play, and I know how you played, and I know how you were raised, and I know that you've instilled that in those kids. Now, I don't know what happened to you after college, but I've heard, and I know how good you were at that level too. So, I mean, it ain't like you got worse. So, you know, instilling.
I just like to play golf now. So.
Yeah, well, you're probably really good at that too, I would imagine. But the fact that you've poured into these kids, everything that was poured into you, man, that's just awesome. And I just really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with everyone else. And I hope they've picked up some things and learned some things about what John Small has given back to Georgia High School and continues to give back at East Coweta High School.
I appreciate you having me on. You must have been low on participants because I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. You got me though.
No, Coach, I sure do appreciate you coming on and sharing with us.
No, enjoyed it, man. You do a great job with it. Keep it up, dude.
Thanks, Coach.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
If you work in university maintenance, Grainger considers you an MVP because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Grainger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more. And all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, visit Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.